सुदीप तो मेरे साथ है। जैसे कि बात चल रही थी कि दलित और महिला और संपादक, ऐसी बात चल रही थी, वैसे आपकी एक मतलब यूनिक थिंग ये है, बेसिकली यू आर वर्किंग फॉर साउथ इंडिया, am I right? And now there is a thread that there is a divide between South India and North India. So what is your take on this South India North India divide?
What is the difference between North India and South India?
What is divide, new divide, South India and North India?
See, I think
Because Telangana is now from different nation, Karnataka is from different country, and Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, guarantee है।
नहीं, ये आपकी सोच है। मैं नहीं मानता कि there is something special about the South, although a lot of South Indians will make fun of people from the Gobar belt or the cow belt and all that. गोबर साउथ में कुछ कम नहीं है, हाँ। और because see, I come from, just like Meena ji, I come from an Ambedkarite tradition. I probably am the only Dalit professional editor in the country. I mean, मीना को एडिटर बनने के लिए अपना खुद का शुरू करना पड़ा। मेरे को किसी के क्या बोलते हैं उसका, I had to go under somebody's protection, which is the founder of my website, Dhanya Rajendran. So I'm the executive editor there. So the point about North and South for me, I think, is there is some amount of, it's not an absolute truth, it's a political truth. Because if you look at, say, what parameters should you employ? Let's say violence, public disruption, violence against marginalized communities, feudalism. These are all very, very standout features of states like Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra, Karnataka, North Karnataka. If you go there, you will not find much of a difference between Rajasthan and North Karnataka. Per capita, if you look at the atrocities against Dalits in Tamil Nadu, right? If you look at it and compare it with Uttar Pradesh, there's not much to choose between the two states. But this impression has been created that there is something sophisticated about the South, that there is something progressive about the Dravidian movement. And I think this has become my agenda in journalism at the News Minute, to firstly talk about how the quality of our secularism, the quality of our so-called progressive values, the quality of the Communist Party of India, Marxist, which is in power in Kerala, the quality of the Dravidian parties, the DMK, right? This has become a daily fight for me because unfortunately or fortunately, some of this has been internalized by the journalists themselves, because it's a constant fight for me. And this is a great thing that, thanks to Dhanya, we have a very argumentative, very noisy, very, shouting, screaming kind of a newsroom. And that's a great thing. That's a place where ideas can actually take shape. And I have constantly these run-ins with my reporters, particularly in Kerala and in Tamil Nadu, where they identify, and just like I identify as an Ambedkarite, there are journalists who identify as Marxist, or there are journalists who identify as Periyarist, right? And my appeal to them has become now, then be a good Periyarist, be a good communist, don't be a CPM stooge or don't be a DMK stooge, because these are very, very problematic parties. And I'm picking these two because they are so defined by their ideology. If you take a TDP, you take a TRS, these are all parties which have a very, very problematic history. And I like the fact that Sir talked about how today the entire conversation is Modi, 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 Hindutva, Hindutva, Hindutva. For me as a Dalit, this is a little irritating, honestly. The only difference would be, I suppose, in Hindi, how do you say it? Chand to the, sitare mein nikala hai na? So these people are very cute in the beginning also. They are not any less mischievous today. When it is the Mondal Commission, like Sir rightly pointed out, the fact that अच्छे हैं, बुरे हैं, बस वो ही हैं मीडिया में. ये नहीं, the question of diversity, it's after a point, it is कि भाई ये ब्राह्मणों और ब्राह्मणों के बीच में conversation चल रहा है. Right? For example, in this room, if I can do a small social experiment, just look at we talk about journalism in terms of journalism at its best is society in conversation with itself. Right? Now here there's a conversation happening on journalism. Can we see a show of hands? How many Muslims in this room? Is this 20%? 20% of India is Muslim, by the way. Okay. How many women in this room? That also I'm sure is less than the number of men. Better, but still. How many Dalits in this room? We're close to 30% of the population. If you take, how many OBCs? So when we talk about journalism being, a conversation of, society in conversation with us, with itself, it is, I would say, Savarnas in conversation with Savarnas. And that is what is setting agenda, not from today, but from the time of independence. And that is the greatest frustration. And the frustration also is, like Meena was talking about, how she found it difficult to find a job in the so-called progressive liberal media. संघियों की तो छोड़ ही दीजिए मैडम आप, है ना? ये जो सेक्युलरिज्म की नुमाइंदगी करते हैं जो लोग, उनकी न्यूज़ रूम्स देख लीजिए आप. जब वो मायावती जी को बोलते हैं कि आप शेम ऑन मायावती, आपने क्या दानिश अली को सैक कर दिया, कल ही बात चली थी उनकी, वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस लेडी जर्नलिस्ट, and my thing is that I know these people from 20-25 years, and I've been noticing that these people were the original right wing. These people were the original right wing. The loudest anchor once upon a time was Rajdeep Sardesai. फिर उससे भी loud एक आदमी आया, right? Now, on the position of Kashmir, let's say, what was Barkha's position on Kashmir? Right? What was Rajdeep's position on Kashmir? What was the position of all these progressive, liberal, secular fellows on the Mondal Commission? Right? Unko, and the other thing which I try as an editor is to dissuade my reporters from focusing on atrocities. Atrocities on women, atrocities on Dalits, atrocities on Muslims. Because I feel that the atrocity, the violence is just that pimple on the surface of the skin. Right? It is deeper. And also, these communities are not defined by their atrocities alone. They are defined by their food, they are defined by their culture, they are defined by their language, their history, their ancestry, their politics. No. दलित के बारे में लिखना है, कहाँ लगी भाई, कितना लगा भाई, ये लगा, वो लगा, कहाँ लगा, कितनों ने मारा. Right, so that is something as an editor for me, I constantly, so a reporter is going, ठीक है, atrocity हुआ है, yes, it's a big atrocity, सब लोग cover कर रहे हैं, अब हम नहीं cover करेंगे, मैं, obviously we want to cover it. I hate covering those atrocities, but still I'll say, हाँ, ठीक है, cover करो, but don't go to the house of the victim. क्या बोलेगा तुमको victim? कहाँ मारा, कब मारा, क्या, वो FIR में मिल जाएगा तुमको. Go to the house of the attacker.
Great.
Go to that fellow's house. पूछो उसको, क्यों मारा तुमने? Go to the house of that, or the office of that damn SP, या inspector, या social justice minister, या जो कोई भी. Right, so fixing responsibility is another thing that I kind of encourage my journalists, my reporters, my colleagues to do. कि और नहीं करना ये रोना धोना वाला चीज़. Okay, because I don't think women's question is restricted to violence against women. It's about their political representation. Dalit question is not restricted to the atrocities, to their exclusion, to their segregation. It is, Dalit story should be about their history, about their culture, about so many other things. Like one of the things I've been trying to do of late is to focus on, as a reporter myself, because as an editor you barely get a chance to write, and I want to still hold on to my byline. One of the things I want to do is to look at the Buddhist movement. Like just last month, October में, मैं दीक्षा भूमि में गया था, आपको बोल रहा था मैं, 70 लाख लोग आए. 50 to 60 to 70, मतलब दीक्षा भूमि वाले बोलते हैं कि 70 आए, सरकारी लोग बोल रहे हैं कि 50 आए. But lakhs of people turned up over there. But the news was what? All of you would have read about that. वो क्या है? वो breathless नहीं गाया था उसने. वो क्या है? वो एक singer. शंकर महादेवन. शंकर महादेवन 3 किलोमीटर दूरी पे उसी विजयदशमी के दिन RSS हेडक्वार्टर में कुछ तो स्टेटमेंट बनाता है, पूरा इंडिया में फैल जाता है. वो 70 लाख लोग यहाँ पे आए. There is not even a single column anywhere. Whereas if there was one atrocity, lynching, ऐसा कपड़ा खोल दिया, मारा पीटा, then वो आएगा वो. And that is very irritating for me. The assertion of these marginalized communities, the assertion of women, of Muslims, of Dalits, of Adivasis is not present anywhere. That is one thing. And again, I want to go back to that original point I made, which is that I think it is my job to hold these so-called secular people to account. क्योंकि ये है नहीं secular. Okay, and as an Ambedkarite, see, and I say this so openly, why? Because there's been a generation of journalists who identified as Marxist. Sainath, Enram was the founder of SFI, right? So I don't have any problem saying I'm an Ambedkar. I might not be a BSP guy, I might not be a Prakash Ambedkar guy or whatever. So this is my lens, this is my gaze. And I do believe that the problem in India is Hindu, not Hindutva. I'll leave you with that.